And let me try to post the link. Okay, I'm live now. We're having problems with the link. It's not showing up. See if it's there. Oh, nobody's seeing showing up. Huh. See if it's there.
I'm gonna hang up.
All right, if you can find it.
Yeah, I'll come up. If not,
yeah, that's weird. Okay. Wow.
Bye.
Yeah, right. Nobody's seeing the link. Goodness. Well, let me type it out one more time. I tried typing it and it didn't work. Weird. All right, let me try this. I got another idea here. Copy. Okay, here is the link. Copy and paste. Colon. All right, does that show up? Does anybody see it? 906. Here's the link, copy and paste. Oh, what in the world's going on? Well, it's just madness. Let me, no. Oh, world's smallest fish room sees it. Jellyfish does not. Fish and Jordan are not responding to the question. Oh dear. Oh, Steven sees it. Okay, so Joey should see it. Whether she can use it or not remains to be seen. Nothing here, James Handy says. Most peculiar. Let's see. Let me find the. And do it again up here. Copy. Paste. Well, good morning, Greg. Good morning, James. Stephen lost his wrench. Let's see if we can get it back. Let's see if it'll give it back to you, Stephen. We're having trouble getting the link. Tish is saying it's not clickable. Should be able to copy and paste it though. I typed it in. James is saying bad link. Yeah, there it is. Well, I've done it at 9:07. There she is. That's most peculiar.
Hey.
Hi there.
I was just about to give up and go, I got a hall pass. I'm
really? Honestly. The last link worked. That's really weird. I had to actually go live in order to be able to post it.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, everything's on your end and I have zero control. But you're going, can you see this? And I'm like, no, I can't see it.
I posted it 6 different ways.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really need to talk to you before the show other than to say to you, I need to leave early because I have an appointment at 11. That was it. Other than that, we're good. And now everybody knows I need to leave early.
I will shut it down at 10 o'clock. Now that we have a late start.
Yeah, let's get a late start and cut out early.
Really, that'd be good. Well, that'll put us right on target, won't it?
Yeah.
Oh, dear Lord. All right. Good morning, Tom. Chef Tam.
Good morning.
To Tom again. Hi, Tam. Feeling a world's smallest fish room says the feeling of relief is amazing.
It kind of is.
It kind of is, right? I know. Fun with Fish and Falconry. Good morning. Good morning. Did a couple of he did some videos or a video on Discord yesterday showing 3 of his fish tanks.
Oh, nice.
In his bedroom. They were kind of interesting. It was neat. He's big into plants now. He just really decided he likes plants, so that's good.
Cool. All right,
Steven,
you got to continue. You got to continue so we can move on.
All right. Well, let's do hellos. You want to do hellos?
Yeah, that's what I thought we were doing. Then, like, you get so sidetracked. Okay, let's stay on task. Let's say hello. I'm teasing you.
Go.
Right. I see first. Broadcast Illusions, Glassbox, Fox, Fish and Tank Dicks, Ask to Meal, Roman Chirac, Glassbox again. Then we gotta go down because everybody comes in and talks. Father Fish is here. Dog. Misfit. Johan.
J-Dog.
Yeah. And then I have Irene, Paul C.
GM Broadcast, Glassbox, Fishing.
There was a lot of chit chat this morning, which is cool. Oh, non-PC, the red-blooded American. Good morning. Joe Merchant. They are at 9 a.m. and they have a wrench, so they have been here before. Donald Drew, Steph is here. Tisha is here. Patrick. Jenny Land.
Stephanie Frederick.
Chevy Fish.
Tisha.
Yep. TJ Frugal Aquatics. James Handy. Jordan Sherman.
Oh, non-PC was Trops Tropical Aquatics.
Oh, was Troops? Okay. Troops Tropical. Okay, all right. That's your third name change because it was Gil the Goldfish. Okay.
Oh,
Can you give Stephen Cooper a wrench at 9:06? Because Stephen's been here. I don't know why he doesn't have a wrench. Yeah, you lost your wrench. Okay. Greg, the guppy guy.
Yes, I did that.
Okay,
Chevy,
cool. Tam, Tom, Shan. Sorry. Love you.
Frugal Aquatics. Hello, Frugal Aquatics.
Mermaids Chorus. Welcome back. I'm glad you came back today. And who else do we have? We're off to a wonderful start. Green Machine. Maple Street. Yeah, Maple Street's here. Reese. Welcome. Whips World. Hannah. Patrick. Andre. DJ. Ram Cooper.
Stephen, just the Mermaid's Chorus.
Yeah, Mermaid's back. Compass Mentis. Good afternoon for you. Good morning to us.
Green Machine, where's that?
Sweden.
Right. Oh, yes, of course.
Susan for SLC. Welcome, Susan. Good morning.
Hi, Susan.
There. I think Edgar, hello. We're kind of making it. We've had our usual rough start.
It
was worse than normal. It was worse than playing the music and having me drop down.
Worse than normal, right.
Oh, Big City Bettas. Good morning, Amber.
Hi, Big City.
Tidy
Let's he tidies the house.
Good morning, Howard. Good morning.
Hi, Howard.
So.
Oh, my Edgar Reyes. Hello, Edgar.
Oh, I haven't. I guess, did we miss the blind fish keeper? Don't know. Somebody said hi to the blind fish keeper, so maybe we miss him. Anyway, if you're here or lurking. Good morning, Brandon. Okay. I was just going. All right, there is the blind fish keeper. Yep, missed him. Sorry. I was just looking back to see if there were any questions. I mean, there are probably no questions because we were just busy trying to get this show.
Yeah.
Going. I know. And then I said to him, I was like, I need to leave early because I have a doctor's appointment. And then I'm like, I don't know why I said I have a doctor's appointment. I don't have a doctor's appointment.
You were so rattled this
I
morning.
think I was at that point. I was just like, "Ah." I think something came across my screen, said doctor, and I'm like, I have a doctor's appointment. It's like, no, I don't.
Big City is moving her group of 9 diamond tetras into a 90-gallon Blackwater. They're naturally spawning, and there are eggs everywhere. How wonderful is that?
Yeah, that's
So what are
awesome.
you going to do about it? They're going to eat the eggs. So you're going to have to pull them out and let the eggs hatch.
I don't
If
know.
you have 1,000 babies.
But I mean, Amber's a great fish keeper, so I'm sure she's got a plan. I'm sure she has a plan. Either that or she doesn't want to keep the first spawn. I mean, I suppose there's that.
Well, whatever. Tell us your plan, Amber.
Yeah. When you get a minute from tidying up, tell us your
Never
plan.
raised right for, oh, well. Oh, she's going to pull the eggs later. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the plan.
And then we have someone new in here. A Klein, 806.
Line.
Yeah.
Joe and the Water Wizard.
Good
Oh,
morning.
here we go. I'm the Water Wizard. That's funny.
You're the water wizard. That's cool.
Water
I mean, I'm sure you've been called worse things.
Lots
So am I.
worse. I don't know if anything ever any better.
For a water wizard.
Certainly works.
It works. Oh, water culture. Hello.
I need to refill my coffee here. Excuse
I
me.
don't think the water wizard is bad, actually.
It's not bad.
Pretty
It's
good.
not really on target, but it's not bad at all.
Yeah. I know, that is exciting when you get something cool like that spawning. But I was like, I'm sure Amber has a plan. She's not going into this without a plan.
Right.
Good morning, Abolish.
Polished, the Nero with the tip of his shell gone is an early sign of a parasite. The tip of the shell, probably. Normally, the way that parasite works is it will start. It'll land on the operculum or the shell right where the operculum is. The operculum is the flap that they use to close themselves off. It's all attached to the foot. Where the shell is open, the hole, generally right in the middle of that edge, that growing edge is where the parasite will attach itself, and it'll begin chewing away at the shell until it gets up far enough that it reaches actually the body of the snail, and then it'll go into the body of the snail. So it's a uniquely nasty bug. So if by tip of the shell you mean that, that's clearly a parasite. If you mean the end of the shell, on the top of the shell, if that's eroded, that could be something altogether different. It may well be a parasite, but it also may simply be some kind of wearing. It's the oldest part of the shell, so it would be the one part that erodes first, if anything does. So I don't know. Keep an eye on it and keep reporting back, and let us know which you're describing, whether it's the edge, the growing edge, or whether it's the tip. That's adequately confusing, I guess.
Okay. Amber has a couple more statements on her spawn, and then Andre has a question. He needs help with the glue.
You go ahead.
So Amber was saying they've been spawning every morning since I moved them. Fully mature, 10-gallon, all ready for the eggs. Awesome, and hopefully fry. I think the low pH finally triggered them, and the males are absolutely amazing.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, then she does. Never seen them so pink finned. I can't believe the change. They're different fish compared to before. They needed this big tank to behave naturally, I believe. That's awesome, Amber. I hope you get babies. That's cool.
Yeah, can you do some video? Can you do a video of that to show us what they look like?
Would be really neat.
I've had them lots of times. I've never had them in breeding dress. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. And then Andre Scott says, I need some help with my blue ram from hanging out at the bottom of the tank. I think that he's sick, so can you help me? I don't want him to die. So I added some aquarium salt.
Well, what the aquarium salt does, as Stephen is fond of telling us, is it slows down the fish's metabolism, uh, giving it a chance to heal. So it's not a bad thing to do. It also increases the slime coat of
Mm-hmm.
the fish, which wards off wards off more problems. Hanging at the bottom of the tank. Generally, when a fish is hanging at the bottom, it is a sign of something wrong. Now, the ram is a bottom fish. They don't much come up off the bottom. They stay at or close to the bottom all the time, but they usually are swimming. They're rarely laying on the bottom or even resting on the bottom particularly.
Yeah.
They're a bit more active. So uh, did you take him out in order to add that salt?
Um,
Uh, or is he in a hospital tank?
I think one of the things we should ask Father Fish is, what's the temperature? Ram's like a warm tank. If you have a tank that's
Yeah,
below like
good.
82 degrees, they're not going to do well. So I think the number one question is, what temperature are you keeping your tank at?
Absolutely.
For me, that's what comes to mind for me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And can you give Velker Souza a wrench, please? And there was somebody else that
Absolutely.
came in and welcome. And there's been a few other people sneak in. Jane's here. And I think Abolish New England Endler, Velker.
James Handy is talking about a next breeding project with either filamentosis, microgeophagus ram, or pisto. Which would I suggest? I would suggest the ram, the microgeophagus ramarisi. It's an easy one to spawn.
Yeah.
Um, Again, temperature becomes critical for them. Joey was absolutely right about that. And it is absolutely critical. If your temperature is not minimum 82, they're going to be unhappy.
Yeah. Just an unhappy fish.
You know,
Good morning, color guppies. I don't know. My filamentosis barbs spawn every morning, but I'm just not interested in keeping the fry, so I don't bother. But I see them. You know, those are, to me, they're not. You have to like those fish. Not everybody just wants to keep them. You know.
James has a laundry list here of problems with a ram. Water quality, bullied temp, eating, what's the belly look like?
Yeah, of all possibilities, sure.
Yeah, you bet.
But I would say number one, what's the temperature in the tank, and then go from there. Good morning, 40 years,
Yuko,
Justin. Haven't seen you for a while.
Yuko is getting breakfast.
That's awesome. Can you get some for me too?
Yeah, me too. I've got cold oatmeal in the fridge from yesterday that I need to figure out how I'm going to heat up.
Why, you don't have a microwave?
Pardon?
You don't have a microwave?
I do. I've got to put water in it or something that it's kind of dry.
Yeah,
Not
just
dry.
put a little bit of water and cover it and heat it up. You'll be good. You'll be good. Good morning, John. My fish tanks. Good morning, Chris.
Favorite betta. My favorite betta is the crown tail. I love the crown tails. That's absolutely my favorite.
40 years is asking, are Odessa barbs too big for a 10-gallon? And if not, how many can he put in there? What do you think?
Where are we?
Well, I'm at 923 at 40 years fish adjusted. Are Odessa barbs too big for a 10-gallon? If not, how many can he put in there?
Well, I don't know. Are they too big for a 10? Yeah, well, gee. No, they're not too big for a 10. Um, I would not do a lot of them though. Kind of half a dozen max.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Okay, so Andre says the temp is 82 on the
Well,
ramp.
good start.
Yeah, I mean you could go a little higher.
Yeah, kick it up to 85. See if it makes a
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah,
Hard
and
to know. You know, sometimes the fish will rest on the bottom because it's tired. You know, you never really know. You kind of have to look for other symptoms.
yeah, exactly. I mean, at least but if you can get the temperature up, then at least that's one thing out of the way, and see if you get any response to that, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Chris, my little babies are doing great. They're growing. I'm making another video. I actually switched some fish up in here, but it's probably gonna be hard to tell.
Yeah, Alkaline is saying high temps and clean water are key for rams. They're fragile. That's funny. They are and they're not. They're fragile if you get them outside their acceptable parameters, but inside they're really strong as little horses. If you got your water quality right, they're just as happy as can be.
Well, I think like anything, once you get them settled in and you've gotten them stable,
Ugh, right.
and they're good. Valker Souza is asking, what is the difference between Father Fish's method and Dr. Novak's plenum?
Dear God. Well, they're two different systems.
Exactly, completely.
Novak is chasing nitrate. I don't chase nitrate. My goal is to create a nutritious substrate for plants. And to do that by creating an environment that breaks down waste, all waste, not that simply gets rid of nitrates. So it's a completely different approach. I'm trying to create a natural balanced tank. That's not what Novak's about. He's trying to control nitrates as best I understand what he's doing. He's really using an undergravel. Yeah, or some other kind of nitrate gravel, nitrate filter. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a totally different approach. He talks about what's the word he uses all the time? Anoxic.
Anoxic,
Which
yeah.
is a word that, in my vocabulary, that word has no meaning in applying to biology. The field of biology does not distinguish between anoxic and anaerobic. In geology and in chemistry, the difference is very distinct. In geology and chemistry, an anaerobic environment contains no elements or no compounds containing oxygen, like water, for example. In that discipline, water would be anoxic. Now, he's not describing water as anoxic. He's describing the substrate as anoxic because it does not contain free oxygen. So while that's legitimate, it doesn't distinguish anoxic from anaerobic. So I think all he really does by using the word is create confusion, because it's not a word that typically is used in biological sciences. It's used in other fields to mean something very specific. It has really no meaning uh, uh, as differentiated from anaerobic in a biological environment. So I find, on balance, Novak to be obtuse and confusing. And I'm sorry to say it that way. He's a very nice man, but I do not find his teachings to be particularly helpful. And people typically get involved in that system. They'll go deeply into it. They'll get increasingly confused and wind up giving it up. There also are many reports of, for example, koi groups in England who have abandoned his approach altogether because they find that, on balance, after a month or two, there's no reduction in God, my brain just went blank. In nitrates at all. It dips early on and then goes right back up again. So, for me it's a matter of doing what I know works, what's really effective, what has a proven track record, and that's what we're teaching. I like cat litter. It's nice as well as the next guy. But whether I use it in my substrate or not really doesn't seem to make a big lot of difference.
Right. There's a question from Justin, but there's a few more people that have come in. I see Jason Sear. Hello, Papa Shrimp. Dennis is here. Dennis Lord. But anyway, all right. Let me see if I can find Justin's question. It says,
Here we go. Let me put 929. Andres is saying he took his water to the pet store and they said my pH and everything were good. That's a real serious problem if that's all they told you. If they gave you the numbers, then you've got something to work with. But good can mean whatever you want it to mean. Well, a good pH can be anything between 6.0 and 8.0. Good nitrates can mean anything between 0 and 400. It means nothing to say good. I've had this conversation with people. I say, have you checked your water parameters? Have you checked your pH? Yeah. And what is it? Oh, it's good. Well, what is it? Oh, I don't know. They said it was good. It's meaningless. Good can mean anything. You need to know specifically where it registers on the chart in order to know what you've got. Sorry for the rant.
That's okay. So I was just going to read you Justin's question. He says, Father Fish, about a month ago, I lost a bun plucko and had Popeye and bloat. Now I have a rainbow shark from the same tank with Popeye. Everything else is fine. He seems unfazed. Advice? So he's had Popeye and 2 fish in a month.
In the same tank. Popeye is a function of bacterial infection. The eye is one of the places that bacteria has the easiest time getting into the fish, because the eye is not scaled, so the bacteria can get under that scale right at the eye. That's why Popeye, and then it infects the eye. When it does, generally, if it's gone on for more than a few days, it's not curable. You can get rid of the bacteria, but the fish is going to be blind in that eye. It's a bacterial infection. If you have it in one fish and you've got it in another, you absolutely have a dirty tank. And by a dirty tank, I mean you have excess waste in that tank that the biological system is not able to overcome. In other words, you've got too much excess food. You're well, I may as well say it. You're overfeeding your fish. That's really what it demonstrates. If you got Popeye, you're overfeeding your fish, and as a result, the normal process of nitrification and waste breakdown is overwhelmed, and bacteria is blooming and blossoming and expanding to the point where it's becoming a problem, where it's attacking your fish. Slow feeding way down. I would stop feeding altogether. Shall I say it? Stop feeding altogether for a month. Put no food in the tank for 1 month. Now, you're unlikely to be able to do that because you're used to feeding 5 and 6 times a day every time you walk by the tank, or putting in whole hands full of food. So you're going to have to cut it way, way, way back. No food at all for 3 or 4 days to a week at an absolute minimum. Siphon the bottom. You don't have to dig into it particularly, but whatever loose matter is in there, get it out. Try to get that clean. Do a water change.
Well, he's chiming in that his fish are going to hate him. And I think he's saying that he feeds once a day. So either try every other day, Justin, or cut the amount you're feeding like way down. Because he's right.
Yeah,
if
you're feeding once a day, feed once every other day. In point of fact, don't feed it all for a week. Give the tank a chance to catch up with itself.
To recover, yeah. I think the overall point you're making, Father Fish, is good. I think the misconception sometimes is people think when they put the food in, if the fish, if they feel like even if they've overfed a day, if they put the food in and the fish eat it, they're like, oh, phew, we're good. But like you said,
exactly.
It's the process of the excess waste and what the tank can handle. So just because they eat it doesn't mean you're out of the water, so to speak.
That's exactly right.
It creates problems, and if you're continuing to do it every day, then it doesn't take long and you're in trouble. Though they're eating it all and you feel, oh, there's no food sitting in my tank. That's how you get into trouble with it.
It increases the bio load.
Yes.
It increases and a particular time of a particular kind of bio load, waste matter, dead matter.
Yeah.
It increases the waste load. Fish and plants are part of the bio load, but they're not breaking down and deteriorating.
Right. Oh yeah, Jason, you're right. You follow the instructions on a bottle of feeding, you'll get into trouble. Absolutely.
Yeah, Lord knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do not feed what the food manufacturer tells you to feed.
No.
Don't do it.
Absolutely. So I think Chris might have chimed in, but Irene was asking, how long she can keep a baby orange and white fantail 2-inch and a baby black martin 2-inch in a 10-gallon planted aquarium. And yeah, you can keep them in there for a while. You'll see your water quality and doing some water changes, and they'll be all right for a while, but eventually you probably want to upgrade.
Andre Scott, I have a test kit. So what should the pH and nitro be for the ram? I have a hard time reading the test strip. Aha. So, I have on test strips. There are a lot of problems with test strips. They have reagents on them. A reagent or reagent is the chemical that changes color. They put these little tabs, 4 or 5 or 6 little cotton tabs on the test strip, and then they drop a different reagent on each one. If moisture gets into that container, it ruins them.
Oh,
Also, if they get older, they're no good. They won't give you a decent reading. If you're gonna buy reagents to test your water, get liquid or a meter, and then keep it calibrated. The liquids are fine. I always use the liquid pH. The sodium, what is it? Sodium myosulfate? I don't remember.
yeah. I don't remember either.
The active ingredient. It is always on target. You could have it sitting in your drawer for 10 years. You take it out and test it, and it'll work.
Yeah.
It'll give you an accurate reading every time. It doesn't deteriorate. Don't do the test strips. They may seem convenient, but they won't give you an accurate reading, particularly if you keep them for any length of time.
Mm-hmm.
Buy the liquid. Buy the liquid kits. It's worth the investment. The reality is, you're not likely to ever need to test more than pH. Very few people test more than pH. I can't tell you the last time I tested for ammonia. Probably 10 years ago when I first set up my tanks. And that's the other problem. With a lot of these things like ammonia, you're only interested in the first month or two because that's the only time you're likely to have a problem. So you buy a $20 reagent, use it one time, two times, and then it sits in the drawer for the next 10 years. So that's where the store comes in handy, because you can take it to your LFS and get it tested, but make sure they're testing with a liquid reagent or a meter, and make sure they give you the actual numbers so you have something to compare it to.
Yep. Good morning, JBB. I think I saw midnight lash again. Oh, Compost Mentis has a funny thing. It says, Father Fish, if I buy a large tank, can I tell my wife you and Joey said I could have it?
Yes,
Give it
absolutely.
a shot. I will.
Not only that, don't tell her that we said you can't have it. Tell her that it'll be impossible for you to continue doing your hobby without it. It's critical. It's fundamentally critical.
Have it.
Your fish will starve and die without a bigger tank.
Yep. Gotta have another tank.
Or at least they'll be very unhappy.
You know, whatever excuse you have to use.
Reese, I
Just
really
set it up.
think smaller tanks, they do kind of little things in the tanks on their own. But the big monsters are hungry daily and get very aggressive. How do you recommend feeding big fish? Really excellent question. Obviously, with big fish, your tank is not going to produce the kind of food that they need unless you got them in a big pond. And then you might have a chance. But in a tank, it won't. So what I do with the big fish, once they achieve about half their natural growth, in other words, once they get up to the point, grow to the point where they are sexually mature, then I will feed normally once a week, because they've built up body fat and reserves to be able to carry them without any struggle or difficulty. And that's a way to control that biological mass, particularly with big fish. Feed them once a week. Once a week is more than adequate. Henry Hall fed his fish once a month. He had big fish 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot long. And he would go once a month. He would travel a 50-mile round trip to a goldfish farm and buy a big tub of goldfish and bring them back and feed them all out essentially same day. He would do that once a month routinely. And he kept fish alive for years and years. A big fish normally does not eat in the wild every day. It's an opportunistic feeder, and the opportunities for it to feed tend to be rare and uncommon. It keeps the population down pretty low of its target feed. So don't worry about feeding them less frequently. They'll do just fine. But that's a good way to deal with that issue.
Yeah. Justin, I know where you're going. He's saying that he wasn't siphoning the bottom of his tank because he thought it would be good for the plants. But I think where you got the Popeye issue, like Father Fish said, clean it up this time, and then moving forward, cut your food in half, and you might not have
I would cut it. I would cut it down to 10% of what you're feeding now.
But cut your food, yeah.
Yeah, way down.
Then you should, in theory, be okay moving forward. And Valker Souza is asking, mud from a local lake biological life capped with 2 inches of sand in a 15-gallon, lots of plants for one betta would allow me to go without a filter? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bettas do not like moving water. So they don't like any kind of filter at all. So if you can do a couple of inches substrate with lots of plants, and then only feed live food or or frozen food, some other meaty kind of product. Don't feed flake food or pellets, or unless it's like bug bites, something that is that's an insect material.
Yeah.
They're able to digest it.
Yeah, I have hard water, Valker, and I raise tons of bettas, so I've been okay with the hard water with bettas. So hopefully you'll be okay too. Good morning, Levi.
Water culture wants to set up a pea puffer tank. I really don't have any advice beyond hard alkaline water. I don't ever have any trouble keeping them alive. I've never tried to breed them.
Yeah. Rand says, "Hi, Father Fish. The tip of my adult platy has a black coloration for the last few days. Yeah. What does it indicate?"
No idea in this world. Tip of my adult platyfish. Tip what? Tip fins?
Yeah. But
Tip
I mean,
nose?
they're all healthy.
What?
I don't know.
Black coloration. It could be just natural and normal.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, it could just be developing color. Yeah. Could be.
Right. Here's the thing to look for. Look for deterioration on the edge of the fin.
Right.
If the fin is deteriorating, then you've got a problem. If it is not, if it's simply colored up, that may be a perfectly normal and natural condition for the fish.
Right. Good morning, David. Hello. And the fish box. Emma. Rohan.
Hello, David. Danger zone for nitrate levels. Patrick Murphy, danger zone for nitrate levels. Stephen, the biologist, has referred to some research that his laboratory did on the effects of increased nitrates on the health of tropical fish. And he found that while it did have an effect, the levels were exorbitantly high for it to have that effect. I've had nitrates in my tank as high as 400 ppm with no effect at all. In fact, it freaked me out. It was so high that I reduced it. Um, but high nitrates are typically not a problem until they get so far out of control that you're not likely to ever get there. It's probably the lowest level concern you need to have about your fish tank. And the reality is, if you have a lot of plants growing in your tank, they're absorbing nitrates. So if ever, becomes a significant problem.
Yeah. Valcar, Souza, microworms are too small for an adult betta. I mean, I only feed microworms the first 3 or 4 days.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
not a good food for a betta. If that's what you were asking it about, yeah, good for fry, but not for bigger
Green
fish.
Machine is saying there's studies on wild salmon showing 2,000 ppm nitrate will affect growth rate but not health. There you go.
Yeah. Rohan, I'm not sure what you're asking. He says, struggling with 7-inch synodontis in my 55, eats a lot, and I feed less, eats my anubias and sometimes small fish. And then he says, I think it said it was sold to him as a Cory cat or something.
What's the time stamp on that?
The time stamp on that is 9:45. I'm not sure exactly what he's asking. Maybe a suggestion. Well, they're going to eat anything they can put in their mouth as far as fish go. So you definitely have to keep.
Probably if I got on live chat, I would be able to see it.
Oh. That just goes along with the rest of the day.
I do it every day. I do every day.
I'll have to try to keep reminding you. Get on live chat.
9:45. I'm still not seeing it. 7-inch Senna.
He's just saying he's having trouble with the. Yeah.
Eats a lot, and if I feed less, eats my anubias and sometimes small fish. Well, don't keep it with small fish.
Right.
And if it's eating anubias, that's rather odd, because the anubias is not a particularly delicate plant.
Right.
So a 7-inch Senna eating your anubias, just don't keep it with small fish, and feed it spinach. Let it eat spinach.
Yeah.
If it likes plants that much,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
give it something easier to eat. Yeah.
Duco says, hello, Father Fish. I'm trying to breed bristlenose puckos. What would you feed them? I've heard they need loads of food to breed.
Vegetable matter. Feed them like cucumber. What's the other thing called that's like a cucumber?
Oh, like zucchini.
Yellow squash, zucchini.
Yeah.
Zucchini's good.
Yeah.
You could try spinach. Feed them vegetables. But you want something like zucchini that's not going to break down in the water. Zucchini will stay hard better than cucumber. Cucumber will get soft and mushy.
Yeah.
Zucchini keeps its texture better.
Yeah. Well, congrats, Johan. He says, Glory Day, just checked my Cory tank, spawn in Fiesta, eggs everywhere. Well, hope you get profit.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah, awesome.
Joe Merchant's underwhelmed by his pea puffers.
I know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I've never kept him because I just don't feel like I'd be excited about him either. Emma, the fish box, says, Father Fish, any suggestions for pH of 6.4 to 6.8, please? I guess to raise it.
Is that your natural normal pH?
Right.
Because if it is, then I would just stick with it. You could add a little bit of carbonates if you want to get it up, but the problem with that is that's not going to give you a hard adjustment. The reality is that the water that's delivered to you through your faucet is going to likely have a very stable pH, and that's more important than a fluctuating one. And the problem with trying to adjust for pH is it's hard to do it with any real accuracy. If you have, for example, if you maintain a large container of water that you can adjust and stabilize, that's one thing. But most people don't do that. Most people are taking water out of the tap and throwing chemicals in it to try to adjust it in the tank. And that never works well because it'll fluctuate too much. If you really want to adjust it, set up a container, a large container, the bigger the better. A 50-gallon drum as a minimum, and adjust the pH in that until you get it exactly where you want it. Then you've got water you can change out with that's going to be precise and stable. Other than that, I would just use the water as it's coming out of the tap. Don't try to mess with it because you'll wind up in more trouble than you would otherwise have.
And I've never had success personally with what you're talking about. It doesn't work for me. I can adjust it all day long. The next day, it's right back where it was.
Yeah, that's true enough. Yeah.
So it's just back to, like you said, adjust your fish to your water. If they're doing well, don't worry about it.
Exactly. Yeah. Somebody is calling the Father Fish shop.
Huh.
Father Fish.
Good morning, Lincoln. Good to see you here.
Oh, I got to take this. Go ahead.
Okay.
Call is from an inmate in the Sarasota County Jail.
All right. I'm looking. Sorry, guys.
Thank you for using Global Jelly.
I wasn't looking for a question.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, Frank. How are you?
Yeah, I mean, actually, just getting back to that water thing, I have done
No,
that.
the is gone.
I would try to adjust mine
Totally.
in a large vat and adjust the pH, and the next day,
Yeah, it happened.
it
And
would
we're on line
be
3. You want to say hello? You want to say hello to Joey and everybody?
Hello. I hope everyone's doing well.
Hello, how are you?
This is Frank.
Oh, hi, Frank. How are you?
Hi.
Yeah, go ahead.
So anyway, that's why I started my theory. I keep fish that do well in my water. I don't change my water. I get my fish doing well in my water, and I use it straight out of the tap. So, but yeah, like I said, my experience was I tried chasing pH for a while, and it was like, this just isn't working. It would always revert back to where it started. That was my experience. But if you did want to try to do anything, you could add some crushed coral or oyster shell either to your substrate or put it like in a little nylon or something that if you have a hang on the back or however you do your filtration, you could put it in there. That would help a little bit. But if your fish are doing well, I guess I wouldn't worry about it. That's really the big thing. If your fish are, and I think we've seen some of your tanks and the fish looked great, so yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. Langan, I have not to date sold, like really gone out and, sort of hung a shingle, so to speak, about selling my goldfish. I think eventually it's something that I probably will do. But for anybody that's raised goldfish, I think you realize that you don't really know what you have, in my opinion, until they're about 2 years old. So it's sort of a process, and that seems to be, except for the box stores, if you deal with a lot of hobbies, a lot of them, sell them at that age. So I'm torn on where I want to go. It's sort of like if I do my big garage project, I feel like at that point I should start maybe a website and start really selling my fish, because that's going to be a huge expense. But if I'm going to keep playing around, I'll probably just sell them a little bit locally, like I have been. I sell some of my fish to the local store. I don't know. I have a lot of business stuff that I do now, and I feel like, oh, do I just want to do another business? I mean, I feel like I might turn it into yet again another job, and then I might not like it as much. I don't know. That's the problem with hobbies. And I've turned plenty of hobbies into jobs. So, thank you, Langdon. I've got some more. I put some different ones in here, and then I have another tank I'm going to set up, and I will do a video on that when I set it up. Good morning, Timberlake Homestead. I'm just yapping away about what I want to talk about. Well, the thing is, like I said, if you raise goldfish, you will realize that there's so many color changes, and I do really feel like I could sell my best one at 6 months of age, and I feel like when they get to be about 2, you're starting to really see what they're going to be as far as color and their actual overall conformation, and that's really, when I say conformation, is what I like, because I don't even think at the shows, and I've never been to a show, but I've read stuff. I'm not even sure that you can show a comet, and I think you can show the shabbunkins, but it's specific to calico shabbunkins, and the calico that they like is not the one I like. They like the ones that, more like with the striped black tails and stuff, and I like the ones that are more like, pinto horses with blocks of color. So I'm just breeding and trying to get fish that I like the looks of. Yeah, and you're right, even at 5 years. Well, I think they do full color changes 3 times in their lives, or they can. So absolutely, you're right. You can change. Pure sodium bicarbonate, you can use food grade. Yeah. Oh, so Duco, what I've done for moving a tank is, depends on how big the tank is too. If it's a smaller tank, you can drain it down and leave more water. So I don't know if you're talking about taking the fish out and moving the tank, or if you're talking about trying to move everything together. If it's a smaller tank and you're trying to move everything together, I'd go down to at least 1/3 of the water. But if you're going to move the fish into a bucket or something and then move the tank, I would just drain it down as far as you can. I like to throw paper towels on the top to keep from splashing, and then you can just move the tank out and take the fish in the bucket with a stone. I like to throw in an aerating stone. But if you're trying to do the whole tank together, you can actually do the same thing. Just drop it down, put something on the top to keep it from splashing, then maybe throw in an air stone. That's what I've done in the past when I had to move a tank. I'm sure you'll get lots of ideas here in the chat. All right, Timberlake. If I do more than a 28% water change, it causes my fish to gasp for air and even fill the whole tank of baby plecos because of the low.
Yeah, I've got a kid who's
Your
figured out
pH
how to fix the pump fit.
is 5 in general?
I have a kid who's figured out how to catch
Oh, 0.5. Yeah, I mean, if that sets your, if that sets them off, just do 50 smaller water changes more often. I can do really big water changes on my goldfish and it doesn't cause a problem. But sometimes it does depend on the fish. So if that's not working for them, then yeah, keep smaller ones. Well, yeah, I don't like having fish die.
Age 21, 22, something like that.
No, Steffi, I was thinking eventually I did want to add some of mine in here, but they're still
You too, Craig.
In there with these fish, they'd be fine.
Yeah, after 10, like after 11.
I might add some. Thank you,
Okay.
thank you, Foxy. Thank you, Rocky Sam, for the
Bye-bye.
super sticker. Thank you.
Thank you for using Global
I
Towing.
didn't know you were here. She was lurking. Roxanne just gave you a super sticker.
Oh, Roxanne's here. Hello, Roxy.
But I
Nice to
didn't
see you.
know you were here. She's sneaky.
Bravo. There she is.
Sneaky.
Foxy's Fishes. I've been thinking about you, girl. I really want to cooperate with you on doing some videos because your videos are so cool. There she is.
She's
Nice
great.
to see you, Roxy.
Yeah.
Tell Frank we missed him, Roman saying, and he needs to get back. He's going to be back in the area no later than July. So we'll be out
Oh, wow.
collecting and having a lot of fun this summer and midsummer and into the fall. That'll be great fun.
You know, it's funny, Falcon. I don't test anymore either. Like I said, I just use my water straight out of the tap. My fish are used to it. I just go for it.
Yeah.
But where where people, if you are having the fluctuations, and it's bothering your fish, then yeah, I just say go for the smaller water changes. And if you
I had problems one time. Years ago, I had problems, and I've mentioned this before. When the water company, the water people, changed their source from deep well water to surface lake water, and the pH went from 8.0 to 6.0.
Yeah.
And I was having problems with the fish and couldn't figure it out. It took a long while to get that one doped out because by then I was no longer checking for pH.
Yeah.
When I finally got around to it, and I think I didn't. I think I called them up and talked to them, and they told me that's what was happening.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Who's
But that might
talking
be the way to go.
about Green Machine?
Yeah.
.50 well water. Holy
Well,
cow.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. And they were saying if they do, I think that's the one I was reading, if they do more than a 29% water change. I'm like, that's why I was like, do smaller water changes more often.
50, where are you located, Timberlake? That's kind of remarkable. That
Right.
means it's not only surface water, it's also water going through a lot of peat or something like peat that's dropping the pH down even further. Rainwater is 6.0.
And right, and then they're saying that the plecos go to the top and gasp, and it's like, yeah, I mean, which is not good, but do smaller ones, I guess. That's what I would do, smaller more often.
Well, it's normal for them to breathe from the surface. They go to the top to take a breath of air.
Right. But if they're hanging at the surface.
Yeah, exactly. If they're hanging at the top, you got a whole other problem. That has nothing to do with oxygen in the water. It's got to do with the condition of the water.
Right. And it could be the low pH, right?
Very likely. We're done like that's a combination of surface and artesian spring water. Very seasonally.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, that we get combination of artesian. Yeah.
Well, let's see, Joey. You said you need to leave at 10.
I do actually. I was just looking at this. I'm going, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
All right. Yeah, let's.
You don't have to go. I have to go. That's up to you. But I have to go.
Well, I do too. Actually, I've got some things I need to get into. So let's. Good luck with your issue, whatever it is.
It's not an issue. I just have to go to the accountants. I don't know why I told you I had to go to the doctor. Maybe I'll have to go to the doctor after I go to the accountant.
They're really. Got her so rattled she couldn't remember where she was going.
I was rattled. You know.
I can hear in their voice. All right, boys and girls. Nice to see you all.
Bye, everyone. Have a good day. Thanks for coming in.
Bye-bye, everybody. Love
Thank
you all. Happy shipping days. Happy to see you, Roxy.
Yeah.
Frederick. Thanks, Andy.
Carl Myers. Goodbye, Carl Myers. Come back tomorrow.
Bye. Bye, Hat Trick.
Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish.
I didn't even see Holly in here. Bye, Holly. I didn't see you in here. Sorry.
Hi, Holly. Still working. Bye-bye, all. Love you all.
Right side.